Good morning, good afternoon. It's great to have you here with us today. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us for today's webinar. Today's webinar is Tech Talk, Unlocking Efficiency, Exploring Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktops 2402 LTSR. Today, we're diving into the newest features and benefits of this long-term service release, representing the culmination of advancements introduced in current releases since the LTSR 2203. We'll be joined by industry experts, including Citrix Product Manager, Swaroop Varghese, Ferroque Solutions Architect, Richard Faulkner, and President of Ferroque Systems, Todd Hsu. These gentlemen will guide us through an exploration of how these enhancements can improve user experience, enhance organizational flexibility, and bolster security. A true veteran of Citrix, Swaroop Varghese has spent more than a decade dedicated to cloud-based solutions and software delivery with a strong focus on customer empathy and product quality. Joseph has extensive experience in providing solutions on various platforms, including Cisco, Linux, Microsoft Windows, and Azure. He is an experienced advocate with a demonstrated history of working in the computer networking and software development industry. Richard has been a fervent supporter of end-user computing for over 2 decades, primarily working on the reseller side, which enabled him to adapt new technologies early. Currently a solutions architect at Ferroque Systems based in Chattanooga, Tennessee, he thrives on sharing his knowledge about technology and assisting IT staff in optimizing digital workspaces for employees. Originally from New York City, Rich has lived across the US and served as a nuclear engineer in the US Navy on submarines before transitioning to an IT career. And Todd Hsu, the president of Ferroque Systems, his previous consulting company, TH Consulting, was acquired by Citrix in 2012, at which point he became the director of Citrix Consulting Services Canada. Todd joined Ferroque in 2020, and today the company is now a Platinum Plus partner in Canada. Welcome, gentlemen. It's great to have you here.
Hi.
It's good to be here.
Yep, good to be here. Thanks, everyone.
LTSR, or Long-Term Service Release, is a specialized release model offered by Citrix designed to support stability and reliability over an extended period. In LTSR versions, features and enhancements are accumulated from multiple current releases, rigorously tested and validated to ensure robustness. LTSR releases typically can provide organizations with ongoing support and maintenance for an extended duration, which is particularly beneficial for critical environments where stability is paramount. When upgrading to an LTSR version, organizations need to follow a carefully planned process to ensure a smooth transition without disrupting ongoing operations. In today's webinar, we'll start by highlighting the differences between an LTSR and a CR, a current release. We'll go over some of the newest enhancements of the latest version 2402, as well discuss important considerations and caveats regarding the upgrade process, contrasting the experiences between on-premise CVAD and Citrix Desktop as a Service. We'll also provide guidance on who should consider upgrading and when, based on their current environment version. We'll discuss best practices for migration, ensuring a smooth transition to LTSR environments. And finally, we'll close with our roundtable discussion. So should you have any questions along the way, please feel free to add them to the chat and we'll be sure to get to them at the end of our presentation. So whether you're considering upgrading to the latest LTSR or simply want to stay informed about the latest developments in Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktops, this webinar is for you. So let's get started. I'm going to hand things over to Swaroop.
Thanks, Amber. Great to be here. Appreciate the opportunity to discuss the new LTSR with the Ferroque team. So very excited to be here. So yeah, as Amber was alluding to, from the Citrix side, we want to support wherever you are. It could be fully on-prem, it could be a hybrid model, it could be on the Citrix cloud. Regardless of the model, we want to support you at any combination of the deployment scenarios that we have. With the long-term service release, we have the release of a new LTSR that comes out every 2 to 3 years, and we support that LTSR with cumulative updates going into bug fixes, enhancements, anything that supports the stability or the well-behaved use of the product going into the 5-year stream. With current release, we are looking at a more faster release cadence. It comes out of every 3 to 4 months, but it has a lot more new features and innovations from Citrix side. So on the cloud side, again, it makes it easier for you. The controller side, everything is handled by Citrix and it is more frequent. We handle all those upgrades, and as a customer, you can focus on managing the workloads, and you can take advantage of the latest and the greatest features that are coming from the cloud side. Again, our focus for this session is going to be on the long-term service release. We have cumulative update that comes out every 4 to 6 months, maybe even shorter time period, depending on some of the bigger fixes that are consuming. So the focus is to give you a more stable and sustainable platform that is more constrained on the richness and stability of the product. Rather than bringing in new features, we just focus on bringing in bug fixes and anything that improves the stability for the overall end user experience. So the cumulative updates, like I said before, 4 to 6 months is what we're looking at. And as we compare this with SCR, we focus more on newer features, and the new CR comes out every 3 to 4 months. In that time frame, again, the focus is to have more focus on newer features, newer innovations, things like that. So again, LTSR is if you're more stable, preferring the more stable environment, LTSR is what you're looking at. So with respect to the current LTSR streams that we have out there, we have 1912 LTSR, which is going to come to end of life on 18th December this year. So this is a very critical piece where Ferroque could possibly help you guys to plan ahead and discuss the options that you have on the table as far as supporting the current 1912 and how you can get to a supported version of LTSR. So if you are on 1912, especially most customers who are on 1912 are dependent because of the operating system dependencies, SRO 2016, because that is the last, or anything older at that point in time. So with respect to the support that we have, considering that you can come to NET 2203, that is one option. But if you're gonna do the infrastructure update as well as the Citrix environment update, definitely check out the 2402 variables, because considering from 1912 to 2402, we are looking at an array of latest innovations that have happened over the last 2 to 3 years or more. And there are a ton of innovations that happened on both for the storefront, studio, both the admin and end user side, including the workspace app. So from an admin standpoint, a lot of things have been added to make your admin life easier, and also for end users to make sure that they have a very rich SDX experience with their session, either it's desktop or an app. So we can go more detailed into that. So again, the quick summary, what are the benefits, right? So we get 5 years of life cycle with every new LTSR. This is where we focus on getting all our certifications done. So if we have industry certification requirements like common criteria, 508, VCAG for accessibility, FIPS, etc., this is where we complete all those certifications and produce more documents along those lines, which are published on the Citrix Trust Center. Along the side, we have a companion workspace app, 2402 LTSR, which is, by the way, it's GA right now. So that is also available as part of the LTSR stream. So we can go a bit more deep into the key enhancements. So if you look the different categories that we would bucketize enhancement, like we have workload and device flexibility, operational IT efficiency, security and compliance, and end user experience. So we can maybe call out a few hero features or key capabilities that we have added from each section. So for the workload and device flexibility, the main thing that I would like to call out is the support for 10-bit high dynamic range HDR and the webcam background blurring. So this, as from an end user perspective, for use cases such as call center or anything or those nature where you need to have a very rich experience for telecommunications. So these innovations will help you to have a very rich experience for your call, either it's video or just audio. So moving on to the next section, we have more innovations on the IT side. Web Studio, considering the MMC Studio that we have in the older LTSR, we have Web Studio, which gives you the support for APIs and easier install and configuration. So autoscale is available on-prem today. That's a big deal. So it helps you to do vertical, horizontal load balancing, and it also support different type of tagging, which you can use to power manage and maintain some of the workloads depending on your end users' needs. So WEM, again, it's a very rich feature that helps you to manage some of the constraints that, from an end user side, like if they need to install certain things in a certain way, and you don't want to give that permission away all the time, WEM could potentially help in those kind of scenarios. And again, the feature richness doesn't limit to that. We have added more instances for database support, server 2022 for databases, server core, etc. All those things are available under the operational and IT efficiency. So moving on to the security and compliance section, SPA, again, for anything app-wise, like if you are looking into giving users access from IT managed or non-IT managed end user devices, SPA is a good option, and right now we have that available with the on-prem version, and with LTSR 2402, it's a compatible component. For the end user experience, big feature enhancements and a lot of innovations have happened. Microsoft Team background blurring and simulcast is a very big item. We have support for various monitor, and we can go more detail into some of the hero features. Again, we have added automatic video codec discussion selection for end users, and also we have features like if the endpoint have certain level of volume control in place, we can match the same thing on session as well. So there are a lot of innovations have happened on the end user side. All those, again, when Amber will at the end of the session, when she shares the details, we can have more details and where you can find more details on the feature list. So moving on to the next one. So let's focus on maybe a few of the big call out items. So the Web Studio, for instance, again, the focus here to bring feature parity with Citrix Cloud. The REST APIs, helps you as an admin to do more scripting and making sure that whatever workflows that we have to automate and how to have this run on a periodic time, it is more easy to script and manage those using the REST APIs. It is simpler installation, and it takes advantage of your AD-based authentication. Like I said before, as an admin, you have the ability to control when your workloads are powered on and running, versus, rather than keeping it running all the time and expecting the user to come in at a different time frame. You don't have to do that. Based on the user pattern, you can define different type of schedules and workloads so that when the user is coming in at a certain point in time, you can have those machines powered on and have those running and be ready for them. And at the same time, when you're done and going home, you have the ability to power those off or hibernate those to conserve some of the power. One key aspect that we have added is the Citrix Workspace App LTSR. So 2402 CWA Citrix Workspace App LTSR is currently GA, so it's currently available for you. And to take advantage of some of the key innovations that have happened on the CVAD side, you need the accompanying workspace app. So to complete the full picture, we definitely recommend using the new workspace app. So again, it goes to the different experience enhancements that we have, like more customized and user driven notifications are available. It gives you more flexibility in terms of security for folks to take advantage of certain features. And from the operational efficiency standpoint, for the admin, it gives you update streams where it can auto update. It is in the auto update channel, and the global app configuration helps you to push certain settings and make those available for your end users. The support timeline is mainly 3 years, and maintenance time is 15 to 18 months for the workspace app. Big item on the HTX side is the AV1 codec. So with the newer graphics card, which gives you more end more rich audio video experience, we have the support for AV1 codec and gives you more option to use the high resolution video formats and take advantage of monitors on the 444 format. So it is a very innovative effort that have happened, and we are proud to say that we currently support the AV1 codec. On the audio side, we have echo cancellation for HTML5 and Chrome OS, and adaptive audio for the iOS as well. So those are some of the key items that we can take advantage of using the new 24/12 LTSR. The storefront UI, again, the effort here is to bring parity to the workspace versus the on-prem storefront. So the more innovation and engineering cycles are going into that. So it gives you more search function and option to, as an admin, you have the option to use the old traditional UI or start using the new storefront UI. It is flexible so that you can configure either of those depending on your release requirements. So moving on to the LTSR operating system, again, with 1912 and 2203, we have support for 2016, 2019, Windows 10, Windows 11, single session, multi-session, and also Linux operating system. So the operating system support is gonna match what we have in 2203 at this point. But again, 2016, as you all know, is end of life. So to use 2016, you need to either have external support, and also the hosting infrastructure needs to have appropriate support to run this new this operating system. So yeah, so in summary, whatever we have been supporting with the current release of CVAD 2311, we will transfer that over to the LTSR 2402, and it will be maintained for 5 years. But again, the expectation here is that the operating system or the underlying platform hosting it both have to have appropriate support from that vendor to keep using that in addition to Citrix support. So going on, so STX technologies, we, again, if you were to focus on what are the innovations that happened, we have innovations that happen on the user experience, the different peripherals that we can support in the session, audio, video, scanning, anything of that nature. We have flexibility with different type of iOS or CWA versions that supports different operating systems. So we have support for that. Unified communications, not just Teams, WebEx, an array of different communication options are available on that. And the graphics side, we have, again, the new codec and different innovations that have happened, and that will help with the take advantage of the new graphics that graphics cards that are available in the market. So going into the Workspace app, again, we have flexibility with Linux, Mac, Windows, HTML5, Android, Chrome. All those are supported with the Citrix Workspace app. So you can take advantage of the Citrix HDS technology, regardless of what platform the end user is connecting from. So we have the flexibility with Citrix, which is very unique for us to offer and make sure that everyone gets that rich HDX experience. How we can check for compliance. So we have a Citrix LTSR compliance check tool called LTSR Assistant tool available. So it will be available as a public download. So if you can search for it, it will come up as a download and you can run it. Basically, it will tell you what state your site is at. LTSR compliance means that all the baseline components like TDC, storefront, VDA, some of these are listed in our documentation side. So these baseline components are expected to be kept at the same LTSR level. So it means that we are able to support you and make sure that when you open a support case, like we are able to give you proper fixes and make sure those fixes are available in future releases as well. So going on to the next section, what we have here is supportability and different options that you need to consider when you're upgrading. So Rich will go into those, and I will hand it over to Rich.
Thank you, Swaroop. I appreciate it. I did want to cover one thing real quick on the LTSR assistant tool. One of the things when you are calling in order to be considered supported, the assistant tool needs to be able to successfully complete and show that everything is at the proper levels. Otherwise, if you call in for support, they're going to want you to get to where that passes, and then they'll move along. So that's one of the things we're going to talk about here. One of the main reasons for adopting the long-term service release is to ensure supportability for your environment. So reducing the need to update every time something new comes along. The support that Citrix offers with the LTSR does have some requirements so that the environment can be considered supported. The first of these is the operating systems. You saw them listed above. They have to be on the LTSR support page, but in addition, they have to be at a particular level, and you have to have them updated. Plus, we'll expect, or you are required to have an active support or maintenance agreement, especially for those that are in a long-term maintenance on Microsoft side. So you'd have to make sure that you have that, you have purchased the extended support on those operating systems in order to consider it supported. And if your operating system needs to be upgraded to meet this requirement, it is recommended that you create new machines and migrate the software to them rather than doing an upgrade. It's not recommended. It's not impossible. It's not going to cause any problems, but it is recommended that you migrate the application. Secondly, your database must also meet the supported minimums. Microsoft SQL is the only supported database, and there are different versions that we do have support for those on there. You must make sure that your SQL version is on that supported list and that you have the latest updates on it. Additionally, or finally, the hypervisor. The Citrix software is hypervisor agnostic, so the manufacturer's name does not affect your supportability. They support your most popular hypervisors like VMware, Acropolis from Nutanix, Zen Server, and the top 3 cloud providers. But as with the OS, you must have a current maintenance and support contract with the hypervisor vendor, and there are minimums required that are on that list for the LTSR. So a couple of important things to watch out for. First of all, the 1912 LTSR was the last one to support Windows Server 2012 R2, and as Swaroop mentioned, it is going end of support December of this year. So at that point, Server 2012 R2 and those LTSR components will no longer be supported. So if you have any 2012 machines, you want to look at getting those over there. While the current components are backwards compatible, connection to an out of support component will not be able to be supported. There are some components like endpoint management or profile management and provisioning services, etc., that are not considered part of the LTSR, but they also have minimum requirements to be considered supported. And this is another reason why the compatibility tool is your friend. I'm going to coin a new phrase. We'll call it trust, but test and verify. So we want to test your LTSR and make sure we are in a supported state. Now I'm going to go and move on to how do I get there from here? And we're going to discuss what your migration options are. We're going to assume that you're migrating from one LTSR version to another, making this a shorter discussion. If you're running the current release version and would like to move to an LTSR version, that's a different discussion. We'll not be covering that in this webinar, but do feel free to reach out to us and we can answer any questions you might have if you wanted to go from current release to LTSR. This slide, the graphic here is just to show you there is a recommended flow. This flow chart, we're going to send you links with some resources you can get to this flow chart, so don't try and read through all the stuff here. It's also not required that you do it in this order, but it is recommended that you go in this order for the least amount of troubles that you'll have when you're trying to do an in-place upgrade. We always recommend a maintenance outage wherever possible, even though there are ways to minimize and even altogether avoid any downtime. You don't have to upgrade everything in one step, as the software is backward compatible. If you upgrade in the order described, there are safe stopping points where you can permit the team to run for a bit before you proceed on to the next section. However, it is mentioned, or it is recommended that you not be in a mixed LTSR mode for any longer than you have to be, because Citrix is going to have trouble supporting a mixed LTSR in the long-term function. You also can have your cloud VDAs can be LTSR level, even though your updates on the infrastructure are going to be at the cloud level. Your VDAs can be at LTSR so that you can ensure compatibility with applications that you're running on your VDAs. So a couple things to keep in mind when you're doing the upgrade to storefront for the in-place upgrade. The most important thing is that a lot of people will make modifications to their storefront config You can change the colors, add some branding to it, stuff like this. And so what happens in the upgrade process is you're going to lose those potentially lose those configurations. So you want to do a backup of your config and have that standing by. You upgrade your software, and then when you restore the config back, you'll get your coloring and everything, but on the new software. Also, the upgrade requires breaking the server group. So if you've got multiple storefront servers that are in there, you're going to break the server group and upgrade one that we'll call the primary server. Once you've got it upgraded, you've imported your config and gotten all the rest of that ready to go, then you'll upgrade the software on the additional servers and rejoin them back to the server group. While storefront can be upgraded without downtime, it is much more complex. So taking an outage is preferred. So you can do the upgrade on an in-place upgrade. Okay, now some recommendations that we're going to go to. A couple of the biggest things are upgrade and patch Windows to your supported version first. You want to do that before you start any type of upgrade process on any of the infrastructure components. Always take snapshots or backups of the servers before you perform any of the upgrade actions, so that you have the ability to do a rollback. This is especially important here in an in-place upgrade function, because we're not doing the side-by-side, which we'll talk to you about next. You want to back up your databases, so you can restore your database back. So if you do need to go into a rollback for any reason, you have a method of doing so. And then finally, it's recommended that you pause any antivirus software, because antivirus software tends to not appreciate you having the same file name with different sizes, etc., and it can cause upgrade issues. We have seen it. Because as part of the upgrade, it's going to make changes to like your IIS config, etc., and the antivirus software may interfere with that. On an fresh install, it's not usually as big a problem, but for an upgrade, it is recommended you pause the antivirus. Okay, so the second choice that you have is going to be to do a parallel upgrade. And what the parallel upgrade is, that's where I'm going to build up an entirely new environment, stand it up side by side with the existing environment. And it's going to allow me to go on the control layer and access layers. You can have the access layer created again, or if you're coming through the gateway and everything, you can just add on to them, right? So it's not necessary to have a second Citrix gateway, for instance, or load balancer going. You would just have additional load balance VIPs that you would go to, and of course you're going to have to keep those updated. You can you can back up and restore the configuration, as we talked about previously, but the configuration must be in the same version. So if you want to migrate your config for storefront over to the new storefront servers, you would back up your config and restore it at the same level, and then upgrade that one to the newer version for the LTSR. One of the choices you're going to have to make when you're doing an in-place a parallel upgrade is you have to pick whether you're going to do the same URL that you were using already, or if you're going to go to a completely different URL, new URL for the new environment. The advantage to the same URL is obviously it's much easier for the end users. If we got the same URL, you're just going to make a DNS change on the back side once everything's ready to go. The problem with that is that it's an all or nothing, right? Everything is going to get switched over as soon as I make that DNS change. Everybody's going to get moved over to the new environment. So, and it also makes it a lot harder to roll back to the previous environment if you're going through the same URL. A different URL does allow you to do a phased migration, so that you can move some people over, some applications over, etc. And it's much easier to roll back to the old URL because there are two different ones. But the disadvantage to that is that you now have to have a bunch of new firewall rules, new configurations, etc. And that can cause some confusion for your end users. At the control layer, much of the configuration can be copied over via the automated config tool, but it will be a manual process where if you're familiar with the automated config tool, you can do a one-step or a two-step. You're going to have to go through this as a two-step where you export the existing config, and then you'll import the config to the new environment. You want to make sure that you have the Citrix and Microsoft updated GPOs and everything for your VDAs specified. You want to update where those GPOs are. You'll probably want to create new ones for the new environment because, for example, one of the things you're going to put in the GPOs is where the VDAs register. You're going to want them to register to the new delivery controllers and not the old ones, or cloud connectors if you're on the cloud side. Okay. So now at the resource layer, on the parallel upgrade, often you want to do the workspace app. Hang on a second, sorry. For the workspace app, many times the new features are dependent on the minimum workspace app version, so you want to make sure that you have the track of which ones those are. You can also update the workspace app using the global app config or using tools like SECM. For non-Citrix provision VDAs, on your persistent desktops, you're going to have to do an in-place upgrade of the VDA agent. VDA agents, kind of duplicates. And then on your non-persistent desktops, you just create your new machine with the updated agent and push them through there. For MCS VDAs, you would update your golden image and process those and create the the new VDAs from that image. And then for provisioning services, you're going to do the same thing, where you're going to if the infrastructure is compatible, then you'll be able to export the vdisk, convert it over to the new location, and import the vdisk onto your provisioning server. You can also use app layering if you want to. If you are using that, you can validate that your app layering infrastructure is LTSR compliant, and then you can create a new version of the platform layer with the new VDA agent from there. Okay, a couple of best practices in the parallel upgrade. The biggest things is going to be, first of all, make sure you have enough compute capacity to support running, multiple extra DDCs and storefront and VDAs, etc. So we don't want to run out of space or start paging on a VMware environment. The second thing is make sure you have your prerequisites in place. So it's advisable to have your certificates prepared, the firewall rules all ready to go, everything set so that when you go to start doing the config, you've got your IP paths and everything ready to go. And then finally, fully document your migration path, right? You're going to document which way you're going to get to each side and everything. And also, you're going to have to make that decision about whether you're going to use the same or a different URL. On the next slide, we'll see there is a flow chart. Again, on the flow charts, I don't want to go into or beleaguer all this information. We are going to share this with you, but this kind of helps you make the decision whether you should use the same URL or a new URL. In most of the side-by-side infrastructures I've seen or I've done in the past, they've done a different URL just so they could do a phased approach. They could move certain applications or certain desktops over at a time. Although if you're a smaller environment, using the same URL can make it real easy once you've got everything working on the new environment to just cut everything over one night. It's quick change, quick outage, and you're up and you're running very quickly the next day. And as I mentioned before, we are gonna, when we're done with this webinar, all the attendees are gonna receive an email that's going to have the a bunch of links for all this information to your product documentation, the migration tech paper, end user, all those graphs that we showed and everything in there. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us after this.
Great job, gentlemen. Lots of great information. I'm going to hand things over to Todd. I know we have a number of questions to go through. So if you do have questions that you haven't written in the chat, please do so.
All right. So I got a couple of questions here that I collected. Number one is that people are asking, like, can I migrate from 1912 LTSR to the new LTSR? Like, what are the migration paths? Is it in place? Is it what is the preferred way of doing so?
Yeah, great question. Thanks, Todd. So for 1912 customers, we do support in-place upgrade. We recommend the customers to be on the latest CU of 1912. You have CU 8 is the current one, and we are currently working on releasing CU 9. But regardless, whatever that CU that you're on, we do support in-place upgrade from 1912 coming straight to 2402. But going back to some of the aspects that Rich have explained, please be mindful and do your due diligence when you are planning for this upgrade. Have a plan, do the required testing, and make sure that you have proper backups and configuration changes that you can support from 1912 to 2402. You're making a big jump from 1912 to 2402. So a lot of things have changed, both on the underlying operating system and Citrix side. So make sure, consider all those different aspects of that. So, but to answer your question, Todd, yes, we do support an in-place upgrade coming straight from 1912 to 2402.
Yeah, I would anticipate though, if people are going from a 1912 to 24, that they're probably going to go with the side-by-side, because there's gonna be a lot of changes, a lot of things are different. So that's something to keep in mind.
Especially
if you support an in-place upgrade, that's actually a better reason to do a side-by-side.
Totally. Yeah, and also the operating system, as we're thinking about infrastructure updates, if you're trying to refresh 2016, your apps servers to a newer version, then like Rich is saying, I think, setting something up in parallel might be helpful to make sure, all your existing users are getting the same experience.
Okay. Yeah, so another question here. App layering. Is it sufficient if you remove current VDA version and do a fresh install, or you have to create a brand new POF layer?
So we, for app layering, it should be sufficient if you upgrade the VDA or like uninstall, reinstall, or do an in-place upgrade of the VDA that app layering using, that should be supported, yes.
Okay. And when you were explaining some of the new features, like I saw that actually go through quite quickly. One of it was in the HDX enhancements, there's like things like echo cancellation. Can you explain to people, like some people are asking, like in real life, like what does that mean? Like is it like an effect of like a noise cancellation headphone? Like what is it?
Yeah, so thanks, Todd. I apologize for going through the slides pretty fast. So echo, on the HDX side, there are a lot of audio video enhancements that we have provided. So echo cancellation, again, going back to what Todd is saying, that if you are in a call center type of environment, it gives you more optimized audio video experience rather than like supporting the noise cancellation headphones and those kind of things. So it gives you a better audio quality for both receiving and the sending side. So it gives you more stable and optimized virtual channels for sending those transmission over from your workspace app to the session. So it gives you a better experience for overall call that you're having. Yeah.
Right. So okay. So in short, you're saying that it's what comes into the microphone does not interfere with what you hear up here, right? And vice versa, I guess.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. All right. So
yeah, what's that? So I can jump in real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say a couple of the other nice things about the new supports and everything, and ironically, of course, GoToWebinar doesn't have the ability to blur your background, but that ability to blur your background on Teams and those that support it is very nice. If you're that's if you're running that if you're running Teams or running the meeting software that you're doing from the VDA. All right, so if you're running locally, it's not going to affect it, but a lot of people didn't realize. I think some people didn't realize that they couldn't turn on the blurred backgrounds previously.
Yeah. I think to Todd's point.
Yeah, and these are all exclusively an HDX feature, I would assume, right? It's not available with an AVD or a blast protocol, right? I would assume.
Correct. Yeah, these are some core unique features that only Citrix HDX can deliver, as Todd is saying that. Yeah, I mean, and was Richard also saying that basically when you connect your headset to your end user device where your workspace app is running, and which is indeed gonna transfer that device connectivity to your session, this capability is available in that session. So we are able to do this virtualization efficiently, and so that what you're hearing versus what you're speaking doesn't interfere, and also same experience is provided on the receiving and sending side. So yeah.
Okay, and are all these components backward compatible?
So backward compatibility is limited. for certain features that we need to support, you need a minimum version of Workspace app and VDA. So not all features that we have are backward compatible. So we have the basic functionality. So HTTP connectivity, you should be able to connect to your session, launch session. Should be able to do the core functionality, but some of those advanced features, that innovations that we have explained, might have additional requirements, meaning that you need to have certain version of Workspace app or certain minimum version of VDA required to enable that feature.
All right. And we did also, I don't think I covered as much when I was going through the discussion, but when you're doing the upgrades, as I mentioned, there is a recommended order to go through, but you don't have to follow that order. You can go upgrade different pieces because of that backward compatibility. Just understanding, as Swaroop said, there may be some features that won't be enabled until, say, you've upgraded all the VDAs, or until your end users have upgraded their Workspace app to the newer version.
Yep, exactly. So there's a minimum functionality level for certain features. So as Rich is saying, that you can maybe go ahead and do your VDA upgraded to the latest release. It should function correctly for whatever features that they had existing, but again, to take advantage of, let's say, the background blurring or the echo cancellation, you might need a minimum version of Workspace app for that supported platform. So that's where it gets slightly tricky, but again, it should come up in your testing. And also, we have documentation that clearly states for this feature, these are the minimum version of VDA or the Workspace app or any policies that you need on top of these additional two components, and those should be enabled or configured appropriately to match your user need.
Yep.
Okay. So like everybody's gonna ask next is that we're obviously doing this as a preview to everyone, and when is this really available and available for general public?
Yeah, so we have the early access release for 2402 available. We have released early access 1 and early access 2. So we have a lot of customers who tried it out and gave us some feedback. So as far as the general available version of CVAD 2402 goes, we are working very diligently. So hopefully in the next few weeks or even earlier, right? I don't want to set a time frame on this, but we are very diligently working on it, and it's going to be available very, very soon. And Workspace app 2402 LTSR is currently out, so we are trying to follow the same path. And I think hopefully in the upcoming weeks, we will have a public announcement.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of anticipation of this coming out. There were some really good features that were added in this new LTSR that those customers who are LTSR customers really are kind of chomping at the bit to be able to take advantage of. So
yeah, for sure. From our registration perspective, I looked at all the registrations for this webinar as one of the most popular ones that we have had, and we really appreciate that everybody actually come in and give their feedbacks and questions. And I think yeah, it is a big product update, and a lot of really cool stuff.
Yep, great. Yeah, I mean, like Todd said, 1912, if you're on 1912 and coming to 2402, you are in for a treat. I mean, like some of the core functionalities that the HTX side itself is going to give you a very rich experience. And if you're going to invest the time in upgrading, because end of life is coming up pretty soon for 1912, might as well get on to the latest train that gives you longer shelf life and support all those things. So that's where experts like Rich and Todd can help you guys to plan and do that more efficiently and get there as fast as you could. Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, there were some performance increases also that were gained going from 24 or from 1912. So
yep.
You might make your end users very happy.
Right.
This update.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Again, I know your time is precious, and as well, thank you so much to Swaroop and to Richard for presenting the information for us today. I think we are going to close out. If there are additional questions or you would like more information on doing the transition or any of the features or benefits that we've spoken about today, please reach out to us on email or social media. You can find our LinkedIn information here as well. So we're pretty easily accessible. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Aaron. Thanks, Aaron. Bye.
Thanks, Swaroop. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Thanks, Ferroque team. Thank you.